everyone. This is the second in a series of videos about the new ABF technology that we're planning on building, and this is where I'm taking a bit of a deeper look into some of the proposed functionality. So this particular one is aimed at tournament organisers and how you go about actually managing a congress. In this particular video I'm not going to talk about the entries and payments aspects of that. That'll be covered in a separate video. So let's start again by just looking at what we do at the moment. So most of the, particularly the national congresses, all have some sort of web page, and this is a sort of a standard template that Pauline Gumby has developed over the last few years. We're looking at the 2020 ANOT here. So you see it's a standardized sort of page with all the various bits of information on it that you might need. And this all looks very easy and very simple to use. Behind the scenes though, this is actually three completely separate things. So you've got all the website stuff that Pauline has developed. The entry and payment side of it is completely different. This is actually built by Peter Bush. And the results section is also just a link to whoever happens to be doing the results or the scoring for that particular event. In this case it would be David Anderson. What we're aiming at doing overall in this project is sort of combining all of these into a single package, because at the moment these screens that Pauline builds, they're all actually hand created. They're all sort of copies and pastes of each other. They're all slightly different, and it's actually quite a lot of work behind the scenes for Pauline to maintain all of this. And one of the aims of this project is to extend this so that rather than just being for the few national tournaments we have, this will be available for all state competitions and club congresses as well. So it's completely unsustainable for one person to manage to look after all of those. So the aim here is to build something that will allow the convener of the congress to largely look after that themselves. So if we come back and have a look at what we've built to do that, we'll start off. This is a mock-up of another area that organisation administrators will have access to. So an organisation is basically either a state body or an affiliated bridge club, and there's a whole host of administrative things that they're going to need access to. I'll do another video on some of that later. The one that's relevant to us here now is congresses, and the idea is that an administrator for the organisation running the congress will initially set it up, and you'll see here there's a list of ones that already exist. They're all done by year, so you can just roll over one from one year to the next, because a lot of the basic information is going to be the same year on year. So you can roll over the Congress from 2018 to 2019 in that case, or you can create a completely new one. But you can model it on a template of an existing one if you want to. So you might have the same sort of venue information and various other things. So you can do a fair few different options. This is also where you then need to appoint the initial tournament organiser. So the administrative person for the club will set up who the tournament organiser is, and as we'll see in a minute, that person can then appoint other people to those rights as well. Once we've done that, that will give that person access rights to a screen that's probably going to look something a bit like this. If we just go momentarily to the mock-up that we built for the ABF system. This is, as I said, just a mock-up, so it was just a concept, but this is the sort of thing that you would see. So if you've got access as a tournament organiser, you would see tournament organiser here, and you'd be able to go in and set up a new congress or manage an existing one. So this is the same sort of page. This is as far as we've got in the mock-up. So if we come back to our spreadsheet model, you'll see there's probably three main areas. There's a configure area where we go about setting all the basic information for the congress up. There's a manage area where we sort of look after things both before and during the congress. And there's a report area where we look at sort of summaries afterwards. They're nearly all to do with entries and financials. So in this video we'll focus on this side of it, the configuring and the management bit, and in another video I'll cover how we're going to deal with entries and payments and the reporting. So we start up at the top. You might be tournament organiser for more than one congress. There are some people that do that, in which case you'll be able to select which one you want, and you can choose if you want to make it a default. That'd be useful. You're typically going to be working on one for probably several months at a time, so you just can have that as the default one to open up. So the overall congress will have a status of draft initially, and the idea here is that we'll be able to create all this information, and we're going to build up one of those web pages ourselves, and then we can publish it to make it available. So if we start off with configuring it, if we go to the initial setup, this is where we just start off with the very basics: start date, end date. Are we going to have an early payment discount? If we are, when does it expire? We're contemplating things like having dates where the master point threshold, like for restricted events or seniors events, what that date is. What payment methods are you going to accept? So there's various different options. Most of these will be familiar. ABF dollars is a new one. Again, there's going to be another video on that, so I won't touch on that now. And this is also where you, as the convener, can then give rights to these screens to somebody else as well. So in this case, let's say we've got an entry manager. So we can add somebody new. You'll be able to select from the list of users, and then they will get similar access rights to this as well. Congress information is then a page where we put all the other information in that we need to build up what effectively we see on this sort of web page. So as I said, the aim is that the convener will be effectively able to build this page themselves. So we've got all the key contacts, the tournament organisers defaulted at the top, and you've got other contacts. Sponsors, you can upload their logo and a link to their website. Text information, we'll see on the page in a minute where that comes through, but you can put in as many different sections of just text that you want. The venue name and address, it'll show up as a Google Map display. Documents to download, so brochures, regulations, all the usual sort of stuff. Links to other areas. And finally, sort of different options down at the bottom here, managing partner requests, photos, bulletins, BBO link, things like that. So you set all this up on here. At any stage you can preview what the web page is going to look like. So this is a mock-up of the web page. It's designed to be fairly similar to the one we already have. Sponsors would appear up here, and logos, the key people, the various pieces of text information down here, the items that you can view and download in the middle, and then assorted links over there. This is where we would go to the entries, partner requests, results in the future as well, of course. And then further down the bottom here, you see the latest news, general information, the venue, the program, and whatever else the convener wants to do. So you can build that up and come back and change it if you need. You can preview it, and when you're happy with it, you can publish it. And when you publish it, that's when the Congress becomes open for players to view and be able to see that site. So we go back to the home page. That's really looking at all of this side of it. The program obviously needs setting up as well. This is where you go, you set up the events, what sort of event it is, how much it is, and there's a detail screen behind each event where you can put in the more detailed session times, the fees, information about age and master point thresholds if you wish to use them, opening and closing date for entries, a maximum number of entries, a wait list if you reach that maximum number, and various other options that you can put in if you wish. If you watched my first video about entering a Congress, I made reference to these there where the convener can set them up. This is where they do that. You can offer the ability to people to name their teams, offer categories, and this is where you set up what categories you're going to offer. And you can offer or ask up to 2 questions as well about what various things for your Congress, and you can make them mandatory or optional for your players to fill in when they complete their entries. So that's all done for setting up the program. Like I say, a lot of this will be very similar year on year, so it probably needs setting up once, and after that it'll just need tweaking year on year. So that's mainly the configure part. When we're managing the Congress, so we won't touch on entries at this point, so we'll look at some of these other areas. So latest news, this is really no different to what we already have. The ability to just publish some extra news, a title and some text, and stick it on the page, and if we go back to the web page, it'll just appear up at the top here. If we come back to the other management areas, partner requests, again, very similar. This is just going to be based on what we already have. If I go to the ANOT site here, you'll see we've got things for submitting a partner request. If we look at that at the moment, that opens up this sort of form. Now, that form is where you currently have to fill in all your details and then what event you're interested in finding a partner or teammates for. In the new system, you won't need to do nearly as much because it will know who you are already because you'll be logged in. So all the details will already be there. You'll really just have to say what event you're interested in and whether you want a partner or teammate. So that's not really going to be any different to what we currently have. Likewise, bulletins and photos, again, just pages where the convener will be able to upload those into the site. Emails is something that isn't available in the current ABF systems. It is available in the NSWBA system, and this is where I crypt this from. And this will basically allow you to, as the convener, select one or more events in your Congress and just send a message to everyone that's entered them. So this, for example, is just a reminder of start times. So it gives you the ability to send information out to all your entrants at some stage. There's an overall summary on the front here of the Congress. So most of this I'll cover in the next video about entrants and stuff. So you've just got your main list of the events and whether they're available to enter or not. If you've set different opening dates for entries, that can be varied, and it might be possible to view an event but not yet enter it, and that's all up to the convener to set up. So that's the idea about how a convener will look after this, and say the plan is to have a page like this available for pretty much every bridge event run by an affiliated club. So that will help not only from a technology perspective, making it easier to build these and not rely on one person to create them all individually, but it'll also mean we start to develop a sort of a standardized look and feel for all these tournaments. So that's the aim. So say in the next video I'll look more on how the convener handles the entries and payments, and then we'll have a look at some of the reports as well, which are mainly around that area too. So as before, if you've got any feedback on that, please let me know. If anyone wants the spreadsheet model, if you really want to spend a lot of time delving into the detail, you're welcome to have a look at it. There's quite a lot behind the scenes, and I'd certainly be happy to go through anything if a tournament organiser has a particular query. Otherwise, I'll leave it there. Thanks, guys.